If you talk, we close your business. This is the clear message the Edo State Government just sent to every Nigerian after sealing an event center called Mega Hub in Benin City, barely 4 days after legendary Nigerian rapper Eedris Abdulkareem performed there and called President Bola Tinubu the worst president in Nigeria's history. This is not a story from 1984 under military rule. This is happening right now in 2026 in a country that calls itself a democracy. And the questions Nigerians must ask are very simple. Is this still a democracy? Or have we entered a season where speaking the truth about those in power now comes with immediate punishment? My people, let me break down exactly what happened because this story is both shocking and dangerous at the same time. On the 3rd of April 2026, an event center and eatery called Mega Hub in Benin City, Edo State, hosted a party tagged Mega Rave, a night with the legends. Several artists performed at the event, and one of them was the legendary Nigerian rapper Eedris Abdulkareem. Now, Eedris is not your regular entertainer. This is a man who has spent over 2 decades using his music and his voice to fight for ordinary Nigerians, to speak truth to power, and to call out bad leadership no matter who is in charge. And on that night at Mega Hub, Eedris did exactly what he has always done. During his performance, Eedris paused his set, looked at the crowd, and began to speak directly about the state of the nation under President Bola Tinubu. He did not hold back. He did not sugarcoat anything. He spoke from his heart and from the frustration that millions of Nigerians are feeling every single day. The only difference is that Eedris said it publicly, on stage, in front of a crowd with cameras rolling. Now here's where the story takes a very dark and dangerous turn. On the 4th of April 2026, just 4 days after that event, on Tuesday the 7th of April 2026, officials of the Edo State Government arrived at Mega Hub and sealed the venue. They barricaded the entrance with red tape. They pasted an inscription on the wall beside the main gate that read, "Sealed by EDSG 7426. The business was shut down, the owners were locked out, and just like that, a venue that had been operating and hosting events was punished. A video showing the sealed venue was uploaded on social media on Wednesday, the 9th of April. In that video, a man was heard saying clearly, "This is a very disturbing development in Edo State." He stated that the state government sealed the Mega Hub because of Eedris Abdulkareem's criticism of President Tinubu at the facility. The video showed the entrance barricaded and the government seal clearly visible on the wall. 4 days, that is all it took. An artist criticized the president on Thursday at an event. By the following Tuesday, the venue that hosted him was shut down. 4 days. If you want clear breakdowns like this, straight and without hiding anything, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next update. Now, let's continue. Now, when journalists from Premium Times contacted the Edo State Commissioner for Information, Kassim Afegbua, on Thursday to ask about the sealing of Mega Hub, this is where the contradictions and the lies started piling up. First, the commissioner claimed that he was not aware that the state government had sealed the facility. A whole commissioner for information in a state claiming he did not know that his own government sealed a business. But when the journalists pressed him further and refused to accept that excuse, the commissioner finally admitted that yes, the Edo State Government sealed Mega Hub. But then he gave a reason that has left many Nigerians shaking their heads. He said, and I quote, "It was sealed because of a security issue." He insisted that it had nothing to do with anybody criticizing President Tinubu. He said, and I quote again, "It was sealed because of a security issue. It has nothing to do with anybody criticizing him." But here's the problem. When the journalist asked him to provide details about what the security issue was, the commissioner said nothing. He gave no details, he provided no evidence, he offered no explanation. He just threw out the words security issue and expected Nigerians to swallow it without asking questions. But the contradictions did not stop there. The commissioner then claimed that the event center had already been unsealed. He said it is already unsealed, they are back with their business. So the journalist asked a very simple and logical question. When was the facility unsealed? And what did Commissioner Kassim Afegbua say? He refused to answer. Instead, he said, "Go there and confirm yourself." And then he immediately dropped the call. He hung up on the journalist.
Let that sink in for a moment. A commissioner for information, a man whose job is literally to inform the public, refused to provide information and hung up on a journalist. First, he did not know about the sealing. Then he admitted it happened. Then he said it was a security issue but could not explain what the issue was. Then he said it was unsealed but could not say when. Then he hung up. That is not a government official. That is a man who knows what he did is wrong and is running from accountability. At this point, I want you to think carefully about this situation. Do you believe the Edo State Government sealed Mega Hub because of a genuine security issue or because Eedris Abdulkareem criticized Tinubu? Drop your honest answer in the comment section and say it as it is. Now, let me also bring your attention to something very important that puts this entire situation into perspective. The governor of Edo State is Monday Okpebholo. He is a member of the All Progressives Congress, APC, the same party as President Tinubu. But this is not just a case of party loyalty. Governor Okpebholo has repeatedly and publicly vowed to ensure that President Tinubu wins in Edo State in 2027. In fact, this man went as far as declaring that he would resign from office as governor if Tinubu does not win in Edo State in 2027. He made this vow last year and it is on public record for anyone to verify. So now let me connect the dots for you. You have a governor who has tied his entire political career to Tinubu's success. You have an event where someone publicly called Tinubu the worst president ever. You have a venue that hosted that event, and 4 days later, that venue is sealed by the same government headed by a man who has sworn his political life to Tinubu. And then the government tells you it was a security issue with no details, no evidence, and no explanation. Does that sound like coincidence to you? Or does it sound like a man protecting his political master at the expense of the rights of the people he is supposed to serve? That is the full story of what happened. But my people, if you think that is all there is to this story, then you are missing the bigger and more dangerous picture. There are layers to this incident that every Nigerian must understand, because what happened to Mega Hub is not just about one event center. It is about the future of freedom in this country. So stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will open your eyes to exactly what is happening in Nigeria right now. Let me now take you back to why Eedris Abdulkareem was so angry in the first place, because understanding that context will help you see the full picture of what this government is doing to Nigerians. On the 29th of March 2026, about 30 innocent Nigerians were massacred in Gari-Awaye, Angwan Rukuba, just north local government area of Plateau State. 30 human beings, fathers, mothers, children, people who woke up that morning with plans for their future but never lived to see the next day. Communities were shattered, families were destroyed, and once again, Nigerians were reminded that under this administration, life has become cheap. 4 days later, on the 2nd of April, President Bola Tinubu arrived in Plateau State. But pay close attention to what happened next, because this is where the story reveals the character of this administration. Tinubu landed at the Yakubu Gowon Airport in Haipang, roughly 36 kilometers away from the actual scene of the massacre. 36 kilometers. The president of a country flew into a state where 30 of his citizens were butchered and could not even go to the place where it happened. Instead, he addressed a gathering of politicians, traditional rulers, and a few select victims from the comfort of his controlled environment, and then he left. He did not visit Gari-Awaye. He did not walk through Angwan Rukuba. He did not hold the children who will never see their parents again. He stayed 36 kilometers away, spoke to politicians, and left. That is the leadership Nigerians are living under. And that is exactly what Eedris Abdulkareem was reacting to. He saw a president who could not even visit the communities where his own people were slaughtered. He saw a leader who surrounded himself with security but could not show up for the suffering masses. And he said it out loud. He called it out. He told the truth. And 4 days later, the venue that gave him the platform was sealed. If you believe this kind of intimidation is dangerous for Nigerian democracy, type "this must not be tolerated" in the comment section and share this video so more people can join this conversation. Let's keep going. Now, let me show you something that will truly expose the hypocrisy of this government. Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly states that every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including the freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. That is not my opinion. That is the supreme law of the land, the constitution that every government official, including President Tinubu and Governor Okpebholo, swore an oath to uphold and defend. So when Eedris Abdulkareem stood on that stage and expressed his opinion about the state of the nation, he was exercising a right that is protected by the Nigerian constitution. He did not commit a crime, he did not break any law. He did what every Nigerian citizen is constitutionally entitled to do. And the fact that a government responded to that constitutional right by sealing the venue where it was exercised tells you that this government does not respect the very constitution they swore to protect.
But here is where the hypocrisy becomes truly unbearable. Many of the same APC leaders who are now crushing free speech were once the biggest beneficiaries of that same freedom. Do you remember the days of the PDP government under Goodluck Jonathan? Do you remember how APC politicians and their supporters criticized Jonathan every single day? They called him weak, they called him clueless, they questioned his competence on every platform, on television, on radio, in newspapers, on social media, and at public events. Nobody sealed any venue where they spoke. Nobody shut down any event center where they held rallies criticizing the government. They enjoyed full freedom of speech and used it to ride into power. Even President Tinubu himself was once a fierce critic of government. During the military regimes, Tinubu positioned himself as a fighter for democracy. He spoke about press freedom. He talked about the right of the people to hold their leaders accountable. Those were the words he used when it was convenient for him. But now that he is in power, now that the criticism is directed at him, suddenly free speech has become a problem. Suddenly, venues must be sealed. Suddenly, critics must be punished. Suddenly, the constitution does not matter anymore. That is the definition of hypocrisy, and Nigerians must never forget it. Now, let me also tell you about the man at the center of this story, Eedris Abdulkareem, because many young Nigerians may not fully understand who this man is and why his voice matters so much. Eedris Abdulkareem is not your regular entertainer. He's not the kind of artist who makes music just to trend on TikTok or collect endorsement deals from corporations. This is a man who has spent over 2 decades using his music to fight for ordinary Nigerians. As far back as 2004, Eedris released a song called Nigeria Jaga Jaga, a track that shook the entire nation. In that song, he described the terrible state of Nigeria under the Obasanjo administration. He talked about the suffering of the common man. He talked about bad roads, corruption, poverty, and the failure of leadership. That song was so powerful, so truthful, and so uncomfortable for those in power that the Obasanjo government banned it from the airwaves. They did everything they could to silence Eedris, but the song had already reached the people. It had already become the anthem of the suffering masses, and Eedris refused to back down. From that moment till today, over 20 years later, Eedris Abdulkareem has remained consistent. He has never stopped speaking for the people. He has never sold out. He has never allowed money, threats, or intimidation to change his message. At 54 years old, after battling serious health challenges, after surviving a kidney transplant, this man is still standing on stage and fighting for Nigerians. And that brings me to something very important that Nigerians must understand about the state of the entertainment industry in this country. While Eedris Abdulkareem continues to use his platform to speak for the people, how many other Nigerian artists are doing the same thing? How many of the musicians with millions of followers and massive platforms are using their voices to speak about the suffering in this country? How many of them are educating Nigerians about their rights, about the constitution, about how to hold leaders accountable? The truth is that the Nigerian entertainment industry has largely abandoned its responsibility to the people. Instead of using their influence to raise consciousness, instead of using their platforms to demand accountability from leaders, instead of helping Nigerians make informed decisions that will reduce vote selling and election rigging, many of these artists have buried themselves in useless, promiscuous entertainment that only fills their pockets and empties the minds of the people. They make music that glorifies money but says nothing about how that money is stolen from the people. They promote lifestyles that distract Nigerians from the real issues facing the nation. They attend the parties of the same politicians who are destroying the country and collect money from them without any shame. They have become tools of distraction in the hands of the oppressors. And this is exactly what those in power want. They want Nigerians distracted. They want the masses dancing and vibing while the country is being looted. They want the youth too busy chasing trends to notice that their future is being stolen. Because a distracted Nigerian is a Nigerian who will not ask questions. A distracted Nigerian is a Nigerian who will sell his vote for 5,000 naira. A distracted Nigerian is a Nigerian who will not resist when elections are rigged. But Eedris Abdulkareem refused to play that game. While younger artists with bigger platforms are silent, Eedris is still speaking. While others are chasing awards and endorsement deals, Eedris is still using his music and his voice to hold power accountable. That is the difference between a legend and a sellout. That is the difference between an artist who serves the people and an artist who serves the oppressors. If you are one of those who believe Nigeria must protect freedom of speech and celebrate those who speak for the masses, take a moment now to like this video and share it. More Nigerians need to be part of this conversation.
Now, let me show you the most dangerous part of this entire situation. What makes this incident truly dangerous is the message it sends to every business owner, every event manager, every platform, and every space across Nigeria. The message is simple and chilling. Be careful who you allow to speak on your platform. Be careful what kind of events you host, because if someone says something the government does not like, it is not just that person who will face consequences. You, the business owner, will also be punished. Think about it carefully. If Mega Hub can be sealed for hosting Eedris Abdulkareem, then any hotel can be sealed for hosting a political meeting. Any church or mosque can be targeted for allowing a preacher to criticize government policy. Any media house can be shut down for giving airtime to opposition voices. Any restaurant can be punished for allowing customers to discuss politics openly. That is the kind of Nigeria this government is trying to create. A Nigeria where fear controls speech. A Nigeria where people are too afraid to say what they feel. A Nigeria where businesses become agents of censorship because they are afraid of what the government will do to them if they allow free expression. And if that becomes the standard, then what we are looking at is not just an attack on one event center, it is an attack on the very foundation of democracy in Nigeria. Because here is the truth. When governments begin to punish platforms for hosting dissent, they are not just silencing one voice, they are silencing an entire nation. They are creating an environment where truth cannot be spoken, where accountability cannot be demanded, and where the people lose the power to choose their leaders wisely. And when that happens, democracy dies. What remains is oppression dressed in democratic clothing. And that is exactly what is happening in Nigeria right now under this administration. The speed at which the Edo State Government moved to seal Mega Hub tells you everything you need to know. 4 days after Eedris spoke, the venue was shut down. But 30 people were killed in Plateau State, and the same government has still not brought a single killer to justice. The speed is only there when it comes to silencing critics. When it comes to protecting lives, they are nowhere to be found. In the end, this story is not just about Eedris Abdulkareem. It is not just about Mega Hub. It is not just about Governor Okpebholo or Commissioner Kassim Afegbua and his lies and contradictions. This is about the future of Nigeria's democracy. It is about whether Nigerians will continue to accept a system where criticism is met with punishment, where dissent is met with intimidation, and where speaking the truth comes with a price. Because at the center of all this are ordinary Nigerians. People who are suffering, people who are frustrated, people who watch their country sink deeper into hardship every single day, people who simply want the freedom to say this government is not working without being afraid. Eedris spoke for them. Mega Hub gave him the platform, and both are now being targeted for it. But here's what this government must understand. Sealing Mega Hub will not seal the mouths of 200 million Nigerians. Intimidating businesses will not stop the truth from spreading. Punishing those who speak will not make the suffering disappear. Because the truth is like water. No matter how hard you try to block it, it will always find a way through. And the question Nigerians must ask themselves is this: when the time comes to choose our leaders in 2027, will we remember moments like this? Will we remember how they treated those who spoke for us? Will we remember how they crushed dissent and punished free speech? Will we choose wisely, or will we allow ourselves to be distracted by entertainment and manipulated by money?
The answer to that question will determine the future of this country, and it starts with each and every one of us becoming informed, conscious, and courageous enough to say enough is enough. Before you go, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and stay connected to Naija Fix Media so you never miss important updates like this. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and God bless Nigeria.